Sakshi TV's special immigration show with attorney Bhanu Babu Illindra from BBI Law Group. Today we're going to, please know that Sakshi TV is now has 3 immigration shows every week. On Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. EST with attorney Prashanthi Reddy in English. On Thursday at 5:30 p.m. EST with attorney Chand Parvat Leni, and on Friday at 6 p.m. EST with attorney Bhanu Babu Illindra. Please tune in to ask your questions. If you're an immigration attorney and would like to join our special shows, please email us at usa@sakshi.com or call 866-725-7441. Before we begin the show, please note that the information provided on this show is not a legal advice and is for general informational purposes only. Sakshi TV or its agents will not be responsible for use of information. If you need specific legal advice, please contact the attorney directly. Today's topic is the latest immigration updates, and we will continue the knowledge session along with the news and updates on latest immigration followed by Q&A. Before we get into the topic, please note that you can call us on the numbers displayed on the screen for questions related to immigration and also ask for tips. Hello, Swami. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, so before we go into the show, Swami, could you please give our audience a way to how they can reach you?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you once again, Sakshi TV, and thank you, Torani, for inviting me on this show. And my name is Bhanu Babu Illindra, Andy. I'm an immigration attorney. I've been practicing immigration law for 19 years in the US. I founded BBI Law Group, which is my own firm, in 2008. Since then, we represented in thousands and thousands of matters in immigration matters. Every year, we represent in thousands of matters, thousands of immigration matters. They vary from employment-based immigration to family-based immigration, EB-5 investor visas, corporate and compliance issues, and F1 student issues, whatnot, A to Z, all types of immigration matters we handle at our firm. Any help should you need from us with your immigration matters, feel free to reach our office at bhanu@bbilawgroup.com, or my cell phone number is 703-496-7722. So that's my office number. My mobile number is 319-400-0053. To know more about us, our firm and everything, you can visit our website also, which is www.bbilawgroup.com. Our website will provide you complete details about our firm and what we do and everything. And also, you will be knowing more about me. And whichever help you need, feel free to reach us. When you reach us, because you watch this show and everything, just let us know that you're calling us based upon Sakshi TV show, and we will take care of you with all the way, whichever way it's possible for us.
That's very kind of you, Swami. Thank you so much. And before we begin the show and start off with the FAQs, would there be any immigration updates that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, sure. Not many updates as of now with the pertinent immigration law. Only thing is we are expecting there are a couple of things which I would like to talk here, Taruni Garu. One is the visa bulletin for December 2022 has come this week, and we have seen that final action dates for the Indian nationals have been retrogressed for the EB2 category, EB2 I-140 category, and it slightly moved forward for the EB3 I-140 category. And it is expected because we've seen a lot of demand for the EB2 category in the recent months because of the dates were moving forward for the EB2 category. A lot of people actually interfiled from EB3 to EB2, and many people have got their green cards, and still many EB2 petitions are still pending with the USCIS. That's why we've seen this retrogression with EB2 category, which because Department of State officials did indicate about this retrogression in the past, and it's likely that it will happen, but not continuously for too many months. Maybe 1-2 months or maybe 3-4 months it will retrogress, and then again it will stop and then it will start moving forward. That is what we are anticipating, because I do not know exactly what is the demand they have right now, but that's where we anticipate with the EB2 category. And EB3 category we already seen moving forward. We expect that to continue going forward, but how much forward it moves, I do not know. But we expected that those things will move forward to a certain extent. And other thing which I would like to bring to you all is that we were discussing in NAILA, American Immigration Law Association, everything. There may be some fee changes for the H1B program in coming months. In December or January, they may come out with a new regulation or a new regulatory proposal to increase the fees for the H1B program. but we do not know how much it will be, how it will be, and all these things, but it is an anticipation only. It can happen this December or may not happen this December, but that is something which they're indicating continuously for the past few months in the AILA meetings with the USCIS. These are the two updates which I would like to bring to all the people.
Right. Right. So thank you, Swami. Thank you for the updates. Can we move forward to the questions now?
Sure, Swami. Sure, Mata.
So there are a couple of FAQs that we've been continuously getting on our website. So if you would please answer some of those. So the first one is, does an employer need to continue to pay the required wage set forth by the LCA?
Yes. Employer is required to pay the wages that have been offered in the H1B petition. That includes even LCA also. And if they do not pay, then they'll be found in violation of the H1B regulations, and they can be penalized. They can be barred from filing H1Bs. They can have so many other prohibitions that can be raised against them, levied against them. So it's important that you are paying 100% of the wages offered on the H1B petition, which includes LCA as well, to the H1B workers. It's very, very important. That's the reason why USCIS requires, if somebody leaves the employment, to immediately withdraw that H1B petition by the employer. If the employer does not withdraw that H1B petition timely upon employee termination of the employment or resignation of the employment, that employee can actually come back and demand the employer back wages, and employer cannot defend that this employee is not working for them for those months of periods and everything. So they have to unnecessarily go through this severe penalty or auditing system by the Department of Labor, which it's not required for them. That's why USCIS clearly says that proper termination of H1B employment is by withdrawing the H1B petition. Otherwise, you're obligated to pay the wages to the employee, irrespective whether he works for you or not, because it constitutes a bench as far as the USCIS is concerned.
Right. Right. So, and what about regarding, what steps should an employer take if, he or she wants to convert an H1B employee who has a full-time status to a part-time? What are the steps and what is the process like?
They have to file an H1B amendment when they're converting full-time employment to part-time employment, or if they're converting part-time employment to H1B full-time employment. That's a material change in the employment conditions between the employer and employee, which warrants an amendment, filing an amendment of an H1B petition for that particular employee by the employer. And once you file an amendment, then they can start working full-time upon receipt of the amendment petition.
Right. And Swami, what about if a person is on L1 visa and the H1 visa got approved? Will the USCIS cancel their L1 visa because the H1 is approved?
It depends. H1B petition can be approved with the change of status within the United States for an L1 employee if he's already in the US. Or H1B petition can only be approved requiring the L1 employee to go abroad, apply for a visa at the consulate, and enter on H1B visa. So there are multiple possibilities for them. Okay, so in that way, they can actually so it depends upon under what circumstances this L1 employee's H1B petition has been filed for. If the H1B has been filed with the change of status, and if that such a change of status is approved, then automatically that employee is no longer an L1 status, is on H1B status from the date that change of status came into effect. Okay, if not, they can continue on L1 if the H1B is approved only for consular processing, which requires them to go to the consulate abroad and then go for the stamping and then enter on H1B visa in order to continue working on H1B visa. Then their L1 status won't be terminated. They'll be able to continue working on L1. So it's very important to see how the H1B petition has been filed and what is actually been approved for them with the change of status or without the change of status.
Right. Also, Bhanu, on that note, can a person apply for 2 H1B transfers at the same time?
Yes. It is absolutely possible. He can choose any employer he wants to work for, or he or she can choose any employer they want to work for. Okay, there is no restriction for them which employer they would like to work with. Okay, so for example, employee got an offer from employer A and also from employer B, and is not able to make a decision which employer he would like to join, so he can basically ask both employers to file an H1B petitions, and if the H1B petitions upon approval, then he will make a decision to whom he would like to join. And therefore, multiple employers can file transfer at the same time for the same employee if they would like to hire him in the pro-offered positions which they intend to hire him.
Right. Okay. That's great. So, and since we were talking about an employer and if they're required to pay the wage set forth by the LCA in that same topic, so what steps does an employer have to take to terminate the obligation to pay the required wage? Can that happen? And if they can, what are the steps?
Only the time their obligation ends to pay wages is when the employee is no longer their employee. That means if the employee either resigns from the job or the employee is terminated from the job. As I said, if the employee is resigned or terminated from the job, then the employer should promptly notify the USCIS of such change in the circumstances where employee either left the employment by resignation or by termination, and therefore they would like to withdraw their H1B petition. Once upon doing that, only employer will no longer have an obligation to pay the wages. Otherwise, employer is obligated to pay the wages offered on the H1B petition to the H1B employee.
But is it the employer's or the employee's responsibility to inform USCIS about the update?
The employer's responsibility. It's not the employee. H1B petition is filed by the employer, not by the employee. Employee is the beneficiary of that H1B petition. It is the employer's obligation to withdraw that H1B petition by notifying the USCIS.
Right. Also, Swami, what happens if an employer wants to transfer their H1B to J1 visa? Will they get like 6 more years of H1B after the expiration of J1?
No, I mean, see, in order for first I'll answer the later part of the question, what you asked about the 6 years of H1B. And see, if somebody already exhausts 6 years of H1B, for them to get a new 6 years, they have to depart the United States and should stay outside the United States physically for 1 year.
Right.
Without them going outside the country and staying physically for 1 year, then they are not eligible for a new cap or a new fresh 6 years of H1B. Okay, unless they have an I-140 approved, and if their immigrant priority dates or immigrant visa priority dates are not available for them, they just can't get the H1B extension beyond 6 years. Okay, it doesn't matter whether they change their status to J1, doesn't matter whether they change the status to F1, H4, or anything like that. They only the way they can avail themselves to a new cap or a new 6-year term only by going outside the United States, staying for 1 year outside the United States physically, and then subjecting themselves to a new cap. That is either through lottery, if lottery is available at the time, or filing a new H1B petition, a new cap after 1 year physical presence, after acquiring 1 year physical presence only.
Right.
That is the later part. And the first part which you asked is, can H1 change to J1? Yes, H1 can be changed to J1, but not every employer will be eligible to file a J1 visa because they have to get a service authorization from the ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, and that process is very strenuous. Only certain institutions like institutions of higher educations like colleges and universities, they are the ones, or hospitals, which are affiliated with the institution of higher education, they are the ones who actually sponsor J1 visas. Mostly you see doctors and medical students coming on J1 visa into this country, and some of the trainees and other people are coming into J1 visa, but not a regular H1B worker who's a software developer can be just changed to J1 visa by an employer. There's a process for that. Everybody doesn't qualify for J1.
Right. I think that makes things a lot more clearer, hopefully for our audience who've asked these questions. And but what happens if there's a person who's on L1 visa, Swami? Can they like start their own business, or should they have like a green card first to start a business?
L1 employees cannot start their own business. They can be passive investors like an H1B workers only, but they cannot start their own business. Only the individuals who can start their own business is somebody comes on L1A into this country to establish their own business. You got it? For example, if 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 Mr. X has a business in India, which is doing very, very well, and he wants to expand that business in the US by opening a subsidiary or affiliate or a branch office in the US, then Mr. X can come as an incorporated and a starter and developer of the business, as well as the owner of that business on L1A visa, and then establish that business, and you'll get L1A visa for 1 year. And if the business is progressing, is developing, then you'll be able to seek the extensions of L1A for for another 6 years in 2-year increments. So that is only the scenario where L1As can actually start the business if they already own the business in India and they want to open up a branch office or a subsidiary or an affiliate in the US. But being on L1B visa, they cannot open their own businesses.
Right. And how does the whole on-site thing of a job fit into this?
L1A is on-site. It's a very difficult, confusing question for me, what you are trying to ask here.
No, I mean, I'm just trying to ask if, is this the same situation for people who visit probably the United States on an on-site kind of job? Probably they're there just for like a year or two or something like that. What kind of, do they fit into the L1 visa category?
It depends. If L1Bs, which are highly skilled, specialized knowledge individuals, L1Bs are generally sent to the on-site positions, not L1As. Okay, and the same thing with the H1Bs. When the H1Bs from the IT consulting companies, which actually place these H1B workers at the third-party client company locations, which is basically you call on-site locations, and those people also can come on and work on that way. So it depends upon what kind of an employment it is, what kind of arrangement it is, and everything. L1As are usually meant for the executives or managers, so they're not expected to go on site. They're expected to work at your location. But L1Bs, highly specialized knowledge workers, can work at the on-site.
Right, right. Also, Bhanagara, on this topic, I think this is the last frequently asked question that we have. So what if a person is currently on the 9th year of extension, and is there any possibility to shift to a different company? And if yes, please explain the procedure.
9th year on H1B visa? What status is it? 9th year H1B visa. That means he must have already have an I-140 approved for him, and the priority date for the I-140 may not be available for him to file for adjustment of status in the US. And under those circumstances, yes, he can actually file for a transfer to a new employer and seek the H1B extensions beyond those years by providing the proof that he has an approved I-140 and the immigrant visa numbers are not available for him based upon his priority date of that I-140. Okay, and if he can provide these documents, then he's absolutely okay to seek extension beyond 9 years of H1B with a new employer.
Right, right. So thank you, Swami. With that, I think we're done with the FAQs on regarding H1Bs, J1 and L1s, but we also have some FAQs regarding, we have some questions that students have asked on the website regarding F1. And can I read out them to you?
Sure. Very happy to.
Right. So the first one is, how can a person convert an F1 to an H1B?
As I said, if the individual is an F1 year and if he has an offer of employment by an H1B employer, and if he never had an H1B before, then employer is required to, because there's always a lottery for the H1B visa, the employer required to register for the lottery in the coming fiscal year for that H1B worker. And if he gets selected in the lottery, then that employer can file for a change of status to that employee for H1B position. So it is up to the employer and their offer. If they have a job in the US from an employer, and if their employer is intending to file an H1B petition for him, they can do that. Otherwise, individual cannot file H1B by himself.
Right. So that requires for them to have a job mainly.
Yes.
Right. And the other question is, as long as we're on the same topic, does the H1B's visa stamping happen in USA itself?
Not yet, but it is something which is in talks right now. I think Department of State is showing a lot of interest in implementing that policy. If I don't know whether you know this or not, prior to 2003, they used to actually stamp H1B visas in the US at the National Visa Center in Kentucky. Okay,
Wow.
but they actually canceled that and closed that one because of the anthrax threat they had at that time, and they did not want to accept any more shipment of packages and everything because of the anthrax. So they actually shut down that process in the US. And from that onwards, from 2003 afterwards, everybody has to go to the consulates, get visa stamped, and then come back to the US for H1B visas. But now, because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the employees, in a lot of influence causing to employees and everything, Department of showing a lot of interest in doing the processing, H1B visa processing, visa stamping processing within the United States. But the point is, if they have to redo it again, they have to go through the regulatory process because they need a budget to establish for that, congressional budget approval for that. And for that reasons, basically, it may take some time. But we are anticipating that it's going to come into effect, it's going to come into force because Department of State showing so much interest, and the current administration, Biden administration also showing very much interest in that. So we expect probably next to 1 year, so 1 year or so, I think we can. There is no surprise if you see within 1 year or after 1 year that the Department of State starts processing H1B visas within the United States. There's a lot of positive movement about it.
Well, that should be a great thing to see then.
Yeah, that
And
is a great news. That's a great news for a lot of people who are in the US already on H1B visa. If they want to get their H1B extended, they don't have to go for the stamping, and they don't have to worry about getting 221Gs at the abroad and losing the jobs here. You know, they can apply here, and even if the 221Gs comes, still they'll be able to continue working over here because that won't let them to lose jobs. So it's a great, it's a very good thing for the H1B workers if that happens, and we are looking forward for that. We are very much excited if that happens, because if that happens, then as an attorneys, we also can actually represent. We can also control the cases. We can also go and talk to the officers exactly what's going on and everything. So it also helps us a lot, basically to help our clients if that happens.
right, I'm sure, Bhanu Garu, I'm sure, Swami. So actually, there is an important question that I've been waiting to ask you.
Sure.
So there is recent news regarding Amazon laying off 10,000 employees, and there is definitely more conjecture about Amazon planning to fire more employees. Twitter has announced a lot of employees in integral positions and their resignations. UK has declared a recession. Where is US going? I mean, there is conjecture that US is heading towards a recession as well. How is that going to affect the country and the immigrants and people who applied for H1Bs as whole? What would you like to add to that? Are there any comments you'd like to make?
It's a very broad question, right? I mean, it's a very broad, very generic, and there are a lot of things to be covered in that. There can be a lot of political point of views can come here when we discuss about these issues. And the whole issue is, it is expected that these layoffs are going to occur. I mean, because of the high inflation rate, and they're trying to control the inflation because of increasing the interest rates and everything. Automatically what's happening is the lot of stocks lost their values, right? For example, Facebook lost $700 billion in the stocks, right? Their value, their net worth has been reduced by $700 billion. That's why Facebook is laying off 7,000 people, and because they can't afford salaries for them. So their books have been congested a lot, have been reduced a lot. So they need to again open up that things by hiring workers and everything.
But again, I think, like you rightly said, this is kind of a broad question, and I think we need to have a whole episode regarding it.
Absolutely.
Which I think we can do it in the next segment, only because unfortunately we're running out of time. I think I should have asked this first. My bad. I think maybe we can try and have a whole episode dedicated to this the next week. Swami, what do you think?
Absolutely, Mata.
Because I think that'll be quite an interesting topic to actually know your take on this.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you, but I'm not an economist, but definitely we
Of
can
course
talk.
you're not, but then I want to know, I am sure our audience also would want to know, an
Definitely.
immigration attorney who actually fights for our rights to
Definitely.
probably,
I can talk in view of immigration
yeah,
impacts.
I think that's what we're looking at primarily
And
too.
then
But I think we can work on it for the next episode. What do you say, Swami?
definitely, Martha, we can do that. We can definitely discuss about, we can actually publicize this topic also, and we can discuss on this topic next week.
I'll be sure to do that.
Definitely.
And with that, like I always say, it's a privilege hosting you, Swami. It's the amount of information and the wealth that you give us on these all these beautiful insights about things that matter, that are important, and the way you fight for us immigrants is beyond. We're beyond grateful for attorneys like you, and it's always a privilege hosting you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martha. As I said, I mean, I'm very humble for your kind words, and we do whatever best we can do, and that's my job. That's what it is, and that's what pays my bills too. And I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful to God. I'm very thankful to Ayappa for whatever He has given me in my life, and I'm looking forward for the next show. I'm very excited for the next show.
Me too. Thank you so much, Swami.
Thank
You're
you.
watching Sakshi Live. This is Torani. Thank you.